This is Daf Yerushalmi Demai, Daf Yud Daled, and we are in Daf Yudal Amrav, the second line down. Amr Blazer, and the article is Ba'ad edition, the Vilna edition. We are in the design Amrav, about halfway down the page. Amr Blazer Lo Shonu. So the Gemara is going to start with a quote from Rabbi Lezer and a quote from Rabbi Yochanan, then it's going to explain them. Amr Blazer Lo Shonu Lokech Min Akum. Only somebody buys from a non-Jew in Eretz Yisrael is Vadai. Avlekech Misrael Demai. If somebody buys from a Jew in Eretz Yisrael is Demai. Rabbi Yochanan Lo Shani Hilokech Misrael Lokech Min Akum Demai. It doesn't matter who you're buying from. If you're buying from a Jew or from a non-Jew, it is Demai. Now, what are their svaras here? Let's just solve our Meima Rov Eretz Yisrael Lusuna Biarakum. Rabbi Lezer holds most of Eretz Yisrael is held by non-Jews. And the Mechal Hamayim, that's the Aruch HaShulchan's Perush on Yerushalmi, says he holds also that a non-Jew doesn't have a kinyan to be mafkir from Trumas and Maisis. In other words, his ownership in Eretz Yisrael does not exempt the produce from Shkos and lands from Trumas and Maisis. So therefore, if you buy from a non-Jew, it's Cheskas Vadai. We assume that it's definitely Chayiv in Trumas and Maisis, and act accordingly. Most of Eretz Yisrael is owned by Jews, and therefore perhaps this non-Jew is selling the grain actually bought it from a Jew, and therefore it is only Demai, because the Yisrael could well taken off Trumas and Maisis for selling it to the Goy, who is selling it to a selling it now to the Jew. The Mechal Hamayim says it seems evident that at least going to Rabbi Yochanan, but also going to Rabbi Lezer, that we're talking about Lokech Minat Tagari buying from a middleman, not from the original owner. Because if the original owner, you know what the story is, but here you don't know who the original owner is. So if we have to figure out, it's based on Rov, what we assume to have been the original owner. Okay, so the Gemara says, Va'afilis bar Rabbi Lezer Rabbi Yochanan. Even Rabbi Lezer holds Rabbi Lezer goes to Rabbi Yochanan. That Rov Eretz Yisrael Nusuna B'Yad Yisrael. Most Eretz Yisrael belong to Jews. Nevertheless, why is it Vadai? It was a Chash L'Miut, because there's a concern with the Miut, which belongs to non-Jews, and therefore he says we have to treat it as Vadai. Kados Surkia, the Shimistapekis Yom Echad Min Iser, Nas Oso Yom Ochech L'Kol Hayomim. So the Pnei Moshe has a different girsa called the Burchia. But in any event, the idea is, as Pnei Moshe says, Shem Makom. It's a place. One day they would, I guess out of so many, but it's a minority days, they would be supplied with something which is usher. Because one of the days they sell stuff is from Isser, we're chayshish for all the days it's going to be Isser as well. Even for one day, again, I don't know about many, we say this. Even though the non-Jews are a minority, so we also take into account the minority. Rabbi Yossi asks, Me'ato ger is Gayer. A ger who comes to be Megayer. Now, in the Vilna, it says ger is Gayer in parentheses, Yomim HaKadmonim, which obviously is censorship. That's taken out in the article. It's even the parentheses in the Vilna, but in any event, it does say that. So Gershon Gabali's Gaher, Kabli Moso, I shouldn't be able to accept him. And the Yoim Amanu Mavu, since I'm Chayshish from mute, I should be Chayshish, I should be concerned that perhaps this girl is coming from Amanu Mav. Not only that, any ger, therefore, who comes, in other words, if it's possible for some ger to come from Amanu Mav, not so ger so we can't accept any ger if we're Chayshish the mute, because just like Rabbi says, you can't. The few who are not not meiser, the few lands which belong to a non-Jew are mochiach, then we assume that everything comes from a non-Jew. So to here, let's say the few There's a few Gerim who come from Amov. You have to assume every Ger is from Amov. Elikini. So rather, we have to go back to the original Svar. Now, realize it's not Choshev for Miut. And we can Makabel Gerim. But Rabbi Lezer Savar, Mema Rov Eretz Yisrael Nusun B'Yarchum. Most of the Eretz Yisrael is owned by non-Jews, and they don't have a king to be Mafkia, Midei Chumus and Meisos, yet they don't take up Meisos, so therefore it's Badai. Yochanan Savar Mema, Rabbi Yochanan holds, Rov Eretz Yisrael Nusun B'Yad Yisrael. And most of Eretz Yisrael is held by the Jews. V'od Minado. We can also learn from the following, says the Bnei Moshe, V'od Minado, Raya, the Ikon Mandamar, Ein HaDavar Boror. It's not clear, Im Rov Eretz Yisrael B'Yad Yisrael, He Imlo. Even though it's Machlekes and Metzias, who's holding out the most Eretz Yisrael, obviously was something which is very hard to clarify back then. Rabbi Zir Shal Rabbi Alexandria Ditzdoika. He went to ask Rabbi Lezer from the place called Sudoka. Zir went to sent a message to Rabbi Alexander Sudoka. Ilay Nakvason, the Hacha, Matu Mishayim Bone. So the Bnei Moshe says Nakvason the Hachon, Shu Shem Esav Chashuv. It's a distinguished, significant grass. Non Perakam but Zara Chatzava Nikbus. Matu Mishayim Bone, Matem Omrim Bone. What do we say about them? In Talina Drobin Akum. Him boy, the assume Muslim come from non-Jews. Shein Arov Yoshim Eretz Yisrael, where the majority lives in Eretz Yisrael are non-Jews. Or in Yisrael, Shei Yisrael Haim Arov. Because the Jews, because the Jews are the Rov. Before we go further, and I'm going to read the Pnei Moshe. Veheshiv Lo further. Veheshiv Lo responded to him. We can't reckon it. The Misapkolan Mi Arov Yoshim Eretz Yisrael. We don't know who the majority are. Alma, the Lavkli Alma, the Robert on the Sub Yad Yisrael. So we can't. Therefore, it's it can be a machlekes. It'll be a loser because the Matthias has never been clarified properly. So let's see the inside again. Rabbi Zir Shal Alexandria the Tzdoika Ilay Nakvason the Hacha. These grasses over here. In Eretz Yisrael, Matu Misharimbo. What do we reckon them? Rome and Akum, Rome and Yisrael. Is that most of them, they come from the majority. Come from the majority. What's the majority? The majority not Jewish or Jewish. We don't have the capacity to reckon these things. It's a every major subject. Masisa Messiah Ledain, Masisa Messiah Ledain. So we have a brisa in support of each one of the shitas. Rabbi Lezer, Rabbi Yochanan. Masisa Messiah Rabbi Lezer. The following brisa is a raya for Rabbi Lezer. And it says, actually, a Mishnah. No, okay, never mind. So it says, "Tagar b'chol makom d'mai." When you buy from an agent, everywhere it's d'mai. You can't assume it's vadai. Amosai, when is this true though? Because rov mechantzom Yisrael, when most of the produce he sells come from a Jew. Avalim im lokech min akum vadai. But if it's buying from the non-Jew, the Tagor was buying from a non-Jew, so then it's vadai because the non-Jew does in king lafkia. He doesn't take off chumas and meisers. Masisai Rabbi Yochanan. There's another bride which is Rabbi Yochanan. Tani Rabbi Yechim Amar Echad Akum Echad Yisrael Echad Kutib Echad Amoretz. We're talking about a non-Jew or a Jew, a Samaritan or an ignorant person. Pam Shlokeh Pam Achas Mina Akum Pam Achas Mi Yisrael. And somebody who buys sometimes from the non-Jew, sometimes from the Jew. Demai. We don't know enough to say that it's vadai, because the Tagar takes him many different places, and taking many different places, we can never ascertain for sure where he's taking it from, and therefore it's never vadai. It's always demai. Echir ba'ada ba'yikum Rabbi Mana. Echir ba'ada asked for Rabbi Mana. Mimila kacha ishazeh. From whom has this person bought the grain? Normally small d'mai min akum vadai. Let us say from if he bought it from the swell, it's mai. From the akum, it's vadai. So the Mechal Mayim says he's asking why according to Rabbi Yochanan, when you buy from a non-Jew Jew, is it the Mai? Which seems to be should be Vadai. The so the answer is Tipoter Shia Tagarakum. In fact the middleman was a non-Jew. Va'akum Yisrael Matan Lefonav, and a Jew and a non-Jew are walking in front of him. In other words, those are the growers. So he's buying from growers who are both Jews and non-Jews. So therefore, Demai, right? The Mechamayim points out, if he's a Yisrael who's a middleman, he can know from who he's purchasing it. He pays attention because he knows it's nafkamina for the Maya Vadai. But a goy who's buying but when the middleman is a goy, he doesn't differentiate, right? He doesn't know if he's taking from a goy or from Yisrael. So therefore, it's the Mai when it comes from the Tagar Akum. According to the Yoch comes out Manavshach. If the Tagar is Yisrael, so whatever he has it's Mai, because we don't know what we don't know if they took a Maisis or not. Even though Rav Amir it's Maisim, Chazal obviously made that kind of the Mai. And according to and if he took it from a Tagar Akum, so then it's also the Mai Navada, because the Akum is not Makbid who he buys it from. And now we are already on Tesvav Amud Aleph, in the Art Scholars Blood edition, and therefore we'll stop here for today.